Hi, I'm Dr. Narayan Singh. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I'm also certified in emotion-focused therapy for couples. In today's video, I'm going to be looking at a clip of Will Smith in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be letting you in on a little bit of how I might think of Will's emotion process as it unfolds over the course of this one scene. This scene is a very emotional one in which Will sees his father. It seems like for the first time in a while. And I'm gonna just jump into this clip. So let's take a look.
Daddy-o! What's up?
He's excited.
So we're gonna have to put our trip on hold.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Just for a couple of weeks.
I understand. Yeah, whatever.
Okay, so in this first section, Will enters very excited to see his dad. Nothing seems awry. He's very congruent with this emotion. So it's productive in that he's happy to see his dad. But then when his dad delivers this news, it seems that Will might be starting to feel disappointed or sad or hurt or something. Something is happening for him, but he starts to act incongruently with that emotion. And why he might do that is perhaps their relationship is not based on one of authentic communication of emotions. So Will, for maybe that reason and maybe other reasons, he's hiding his emotion and he's kind of playing it cool. So this, in terms of helping Will deal with what he might actually be feeling, seems unproductive. It is incongruent. But he may have learned to interact with his father this way. So this may be really familiar, even if it's not really helpful. Or alternatively, it may be helpful for getting through this interaction. I don't know the history of their relationship, but maybe Will's father has been invalidating or rejecting of his emotions. And so maybe Will doesn't feel safe to share his emotions. So, and a couple initial thoughts. Let's take a look at what happens next.
It was great seeing you, son.
Playing it cool.
You too, Lou.
That moment is really interesting. So again, Will is concealing his emotions. He seems sad, it would be my guess, bothered or upset in some way. That seems like his main feeling underneath, which he's covering up with this kind of fidgety coolness. So the coolness is kind of covering up this emotion, so it's not helping him deal with that emotion itself. But then, as the interaction progresses, Will shows this kind of anger. So it's like, see you later too, Lou, with that little bite of anger, and that anger seems like it's anger maybe about the underlying feeling. I wouldn't say anger is like the main thing he's feeling here. He seems still maybe sad or hurt, but is showing this anger maybe to communicate something else. So in this way, it's probably not helpful or effective because, like, if you put most people in the position of Will's father, they're probably react negatively to that anger. They're probably less likely to ask, oh, hey, what's happening for you? I'm really concerned about you. Are you feeling hurt or sad? Instead, it is more likely, I think, to spark a defensive response. But Will is maybe showing that anger maybe out of the underlying possible hurt he could be feeling. And so it also could serve the function of like, get away from me, or communicating, screw you, I don't need you. And because maybe that fits with maybe Will's typical personality or persona is like, I'm cool, I don't need anything, I'm unaffected, so also screw you, I don't need you too. So I would say that's an ineffective emotion. That's probably even less helpful than the previous kind of coolness, because that anger response is more likely to lead to a defensive or critical or angry response from someone else. So let's look at some more.
Yeah,
There is really interesting. So Will, for a moment as his dad leaves, seems to be a bit more in his actual feeling, because he doesn't have anyone right in front of him to play it cool to. So he seems just to be touching the surface of maybe his real sadness, possibly from having felt abandoned by his dad previously. So he seems to be, I think, a little bit more productively engaging with that feeling and touching it. So let's see what happens next.
I'm sorry, Will.
You know what? Actually, this works out better for me. You know, the slimmies of summer come to class wearing next to nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Will, it's all right.
Okay. So his uncle there offers a really validating and warm response that appears pretty congruent from his end. And so that kind of opens up the floor, I would say, for Will to share about his feelings and maybe acknowledge really how painful that was that his father left. But instead, Will responds with more covering it up coolness, even kind of amping up the volume a little bit, kind of exaggerating, like, oh, you know what, I'm affected. You know what, actually, this is even a good thing, which doesn't really match what he really feels. So in that way, this seems really unhelpful for him to deal with this feeling, and it seems unproductive in the sense that it's not helping Will resolve this or reach out to someone for really the care and support he might be really needing in this moment.
It's all right to be angry.
Hey, why should I be mad? I'm saying, at least he said goodbye this time.
So that's really interesting. The uncle does a little bit of what a therapist might do, kind of conjecturing of what Will might be actually feeling, saying it's okay to be angry. And I can see some validity of that. Like, Will probably does have resentments and real anger toward his father if he was allowed himself to really deal with those feelings and acknowledge those. But I think that Will's main emotion, at least in this scene, is not one of anger. It's one more of hurt or sadness from the rejection or abandonment that he feels. But still, the attempt is really good, and the intention is that he's trying to provide a validating space that's warm and supportive of Will. But Will then kind of shrugs it off, saying, no, I'm not angry, which I think is kind of true. But he's still going to more of the covering it up coolness. And no, it's all fine and dandy, and I'm not affected. So again, Will is not looking inward and touching what he really feels about this. He's still kind of keeping that at a distance from himself. So let's see what happens next.
I just wish I hadn't wasted my money buying this stupid present.
So there is some anger there, but I don't think that is really his main feeling still. Like, I think anger might be a part of his experience, really feeling resentful, but this seems a little bit more anger about the hurt. And what I mean by that is he feels so hurt, and maybe he doesn't feel a way to really get his father back to him or stop this pain of his father coming in and out of his life, perhaps. And so the anger could be a reflection of that. And I still think this anger is not helping him deal with his sadness. So let's see what happens next.
Got through my first day without him, right? I learned how to drive. I learned how to shave. I learned how to fight without him.
Okay, so Will's doing something really interesting here. He's almost speaking to all these things in an attempt to affirm himself and have a healthy sense of pride and self-esteem, saying, like, I've done this, all without my dad. And it's like he might be really trying to feel okay about himself and that he's maybe worthwhile or valuable. But I don't think that's quite hitting the mark, and the uncle seems to have the sense of that too. And Will is kind of activated again in this kind of, he's kind of amping himself up. So this doesn't seem to be what he really needs. Maybe at some level he does need to feel worthwhile and valuable, but this way of going about it doesn't seem to be helping him to get that need met. And he is kind of amping himself up, which is suggesting it's not helping him really resolve the feeling, which again I think is the underlying sadness. So let's see what happens next.
I had 14 great birthdays without him. He never even sent me a damn card. The hell with him!
So there was the anger. And something really interesting happened there where when he allowed himself to actually feel fully and express this anger, almost like turning to his dad and saying to hell with him, but also like to hell with you out there, that seemed to help Will get like open up to more of his feelings, because immediately then, as he allowed his emotional experience, then you had that moment where he seemed to be allowing his main feeling of really the hurt and sadness. So that started to turn to be productive for him, in that he started allowing his emotions and then starting feeling his main feeling. So now let's see what happens.
I ain't need him then and I don't need him now. I'm gonna get a great job
Still,
without
I
him.
don't need him.
I'm gonna marry me a beautiful honey, and I'm having me a whole bunch of kids. I'm gonna be a better father than he ever was. And I sure as hell don't need him for that, because ain't a damn thing he could ever teach me about how to love my kids.
So again, he's clearly, I think, a bit more obviously activated with multiple emotions right now. Like, he's expressing this anger and also saying, like, I don't need him. I'm trying to push him away emotionally. I will be able to do all these things on my own, like trying to affirm some sense of self-esteem and pride in himself and what he feels like he might be able to accomplish. But he also is very much more showing the underlying hurt and sadness and the pain of his father not showing interest and love for him. So he's still kind of teetering on, like, not quite productively dealing with this feeling, but he's at least allowing more of his emotion, which I think for him is an edging toward being more productive on the, let's say, productivity scale. So let's see what happens next. Sad.
How come he don't want me, man?
See, that's really precious, because when he really touched his feeling and really the hurt and allowed himself to feel it, acknowledge the pain, and also pose himself the question about his pain. I don't feel loved. Why doesn't he love me? I don't know why he leaves me like this. I feel so painfully abandoned and unloved. And I don't know why. And when he acknowledged that and allowed himself to congruently be in that, that started to be more productive, because he was also doing it with someone who he knows loves him and cares about him and is giving him very strong, caring presence even in that moment. And I think that in combination with the two things in combination is a much more productive, a very productive expression of his emotion and his pain. And then so his uncle responds with appropriately with compassion and embracing him, which I think is, in this moment, what Will does really need. He does need to feel loved. He does need to feel cared about. And even though it hurts that he's not getting that from his dad, the uncle is stepping right in and communicating beautifully with this hug. I am here with you. I do love you. And your feelings are okay with me because I care about you. And so this is a productive expression of his pain. And also, this response from his uncle is likely to be healing in a sense, that it helps Will meet this need in this moment. It may not heal all of the history of the pain with Will that Will has with his father. That may require a lot more work on Will's end. But in this moment, this is probably helping Will deal with it and be able to then, after this, move on. So I hope you liked this video. I really love this clip because it shows a lot of really excellent elements of how you might think of a client's emotional process in emotion-focused therapy. And it also really ties in some key elements of what we're helping clients do in EFT to get to experiencing fully and congruently their main emotional pain and have a new experience with that helps them get the unmet need better met. And this is even more ideal because in this case with Will, it's with someone who he really cares about, who's in his life. And that is a very healing experience and something that we're helping our clients to do and seek out with those in their life who it feels safe for. So I hope you liked this video. If you want to check out more of my videos, please feel free to like this and subscribe to my channel. I post videos pretty regularly. If you want to learn more about emotion-focused therapy, please check out my website, eftpnw.com/trainings. Then you can see what trainings are coming up and if you'd like to attend. You can also check out the International Society of Emotion-Focused Therapy's website, that is isef.org. psychologist.org. Please feel free to write a comment below and let me know your thoughts on this scene as well. All right, see you next time.